This is my brand new exploration Courier build. It's fun to fly, it's easy to land, it has decent jump range, it has all the modules and scanners and SRVs and everything you will need for a good exploration ship, and it will go at 750 meters a second. Today's video is brought to you by GameGlass. GameGlass allows you to take control of your ship from a tablet or a phone. Not only that, but you also get on-screen information about your ship, your targets, and the world around you. So gone are the days where you have no more room for your key bindings, or you have to alt-tab out of the game to look up market data. On top of that, GameGlass also works with Star Citizens, so follow the link in the video description and try GameGlass for free. If you like it and want more shards and features, you can buy them individually, or you can subscribe to GlassPass. Use offer code DTEA on checkout and get 5% off your first purchase. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous with Down to Earth Astronomy. So, I built this exploration Courier, and before we dive into the build, and I'm gonna talk you through all the modules, why they engineered the way they are, I just want to explain what the purpose of this build is. This is not intended to be a long-range, deep space, go from bubble to colonial, bubble to beacon point kind of thing. This is meant to be a short to medium range ship. This is intended to be something you either take on small trips out from the bubble if you want to, or more ideally you park on a fleet carrier, and then you park your fleet carrier in a certain location, you take this out and you explore the area around your fleet carrier, fly back, dock. So it does have good jump range. You can definitely easily go out to like 5-10,000 light years, but it does have some drawbacks, meaning it's not the most comfortable ship to take on really long trips. It is really maneuverable, and it is super fast, so if you find yourself some nice canyons, there's no better ship to bring than this. So let's dive into the build, and I actually want to start with the optional internals. And of course in here I have a 3A fuel scoop, no surprises there. The Courier does have problems with overheating, so you might have to do multiple sine curves up and down in order to do a fuel scoop. That's one of the reasons why it's not ideal for longer trips, but if you're just doing small trips, doing a little bit of fuel scooping, you definitely can, but just keep an eye on your heat since it does have problems with overheating. When it comes, of course, to range, we're going to put in a Class 3 Guardian FSD drive. This pushed the jump range up, as you can see down here at the bottom, at around just over 40 light years, which is pretty good, I think, for a ship. I know it's not amazing. You can definitely get more suited exploration ships going up above 60, but 40 for a fun ship and looking at the amount of equipment this carries, I think is just fine. Then I have an SRV hangar, of course, since we are potentially going to go planet side, we want to have an SRV so we can go down. I fitted a shield generator, and I've done that because this thing, as I talked about, is fast. When you boost with this thing, it goes 750 meters a second. And if you're taking this canyon flying, there's a good chance you're going to ram this thing into a wall. So for that reason, I have fitted a shield generator, and I've modified this with reinforced high cap to get as many hit points out of this as possible. The shield is just there to try and protect against these high speed impacts that is bound to happen eventually. So give the ship a fighting chance to actually survive these kind of things. I have a cargo rack because I do carry a limpet controller, so we need at least 4 tons of cargo so we can do a synthesis. I put on a research limpet controller, which might seem like a weird choice, but this is because if you sometimes come across anything Thargoid maybe or anything alien, it's nice to have a research limpet controller to take samples with. So that's why I put this one on here. And you can of course swap this out to whatever you want. Same with the shield, same with the SRV if you don't want that. Just swap out modules as you see fit. This is of course just the way I've set up this build here. In case you're planning to go and do some neutron star jumping, then I have fitted a 1A AFMU so that you can repair your frameshift drive, which will of course take damage as you are overcharging it. And finally, of course, we have a detailed surface scanner that is engineered with expanded probes so that you can map these planets a lot easier without risking not getting that efficiency bonus. For the core internals, the armor up here is engineered with heavy-duty deep plating, basically a free engineering when it comes to the lightweight alloy, because the downside is it gets extra mass, but it has a mass of 0, so you basically get that for free. Same idea here as with the shields. The armor is there to take the blunt of a potential hit if you do race this thing into something. Then it's there to try and protect you, to try and prevent the ship from just immediately blowing up. and going into pieces. For power plant, we downscaled the power plant quite significantly down to a 2A. I kept it an A because of efficiency, and as I talked about, heat is an issue, so I wanted an A rated. And I've modified this with overcharged thermal spread. What you can do is you can fit a larger power plant and then go low emission on it instead, and then low emission thermal spread. This is going to help you a bit with the heat. So if your focus is more on an exploration ship rather than a fun, fast racing ship kind of feel for it, then I would recommend you upgrade the power plant. If you want this to be more focused towards the racing side of it, which is what I've done here, then I do recommend that you keep that Class 2A power plant there with overcharged thermal spread. That's going to give you plenty of power to keep the ship running. For thrusters, of course, we have enhanced performance thrusters. These are special thrusters. You can buy them at like Palin's base and places like that. Look at these. These have dirty drive distributor. One of the things with drive distributor is this is more efficient than dirty drive drag drives when you are getting close to like the minimum limit of the drive's capacity, or the lower hard cap for how fast you can go. Then putting drive distributor on actually gives you, I think we added almost 50 meters a second by going with that. Frameshift drive is pretty straightforward, and then not, because in here we have a 3A with increased range and deep charge. You might be used to fitting mass manager, but remember, when we're going lower than grade 5 or size 5, then you fit deep charge, because that gives you better range on smaller drives. So that's why we have increased range and deep charge in here. Life support, we just want this to be as light as possible. So we are going with a 1D with lightweight on it. And for the power distributor, I have a 3D power distributor. Again, we want to have enough power that we can keep those engines boosting, but we don't want it to weigh too much. So here I've gone with a 3D engine focused superconduit. That gives you plenty of power to just keep those engines firing. Sensors, again, we want to keep these light, so it is 2D with a lightweight modification on it. I kept the stock fuel tank in here. If you really want to go fast, you can drop the fuel tank down to a smaller size. It does mean you're going to be scooping more, but again, since as we talked about, it does overheat. It's not the best ship at scooping. I decided to keep the full-size tank in here, and it gives you the total range on a tank of, I think, around 180 light years before you have to absolutely go and restock on fuel. For the utility mount, this is very much down to personal preference. I have a Xeno scanner. I know that they pretty much only work if you want to scan Thargoids. I don't know if Frontier's ever going to decide that the Xeno scanner is going to be able to do other things than scan Thargoids. So I like to bring one around because it feels like a Xeno scanner is something that should be on an exploration ship, but this is very much an optional thing. Same thing with the wake scanner. Why would you need a wake scanner on a exploration ship? I don't know, if you come across anything. These two are very much just what I like to have them on my exploration ships, but you really don't need to. You can just scrap these if you don't want to. It's going to save you some weight. It's going to save you some space. The two others, again, a heat sink that is engineered with lightweight, again, to keep the mass out of the ship so we can get that extra speed out of it. And then a point defense. I don't know what we're going to encounter out there, so having a point defense is nice. And if you want to take this out for places like the Guardian Ruins, for instance, then having a point defense is nice. Same thing if you, I don't know, want to go and do something with Thargoids. Having it there is nice. It kind of gives the ship a little bit more multi-purpose to also go and do some different tasks inside the bubble. And this will actually be a pretty decent bubble boss, to be honest. Just to have a fun ship to fly around the bubble, since it has most of the stuff you need. And it can get you around the bubble relatively quickly with the 40 light year, the jump range that it has. Same thing with the hardpoints. I fitted both a pulse laser and a mining laser on here. When we fly around out there, we come across these different, metallic, weird structures, spiky things, and they're like jellyfish flying around. There's all kinds of weird things out there. They react differently to being scanned, to light, to weapon fire. So having these around, I think, is nice, so you can try and play around with the different things you find, try to shoot them, try to see how they react. Depending on what kind of weapon. So that's why I keep those on here. Again, this is going to be one of those, you really don't need this. This is a personal preference. I just like to have these things around on my ships. I know it's going to weigh me down, but as you can see, the ship is still plenty fast. For the pulse laser, I have engineered this with lightweight and stripped down. Again, I just want this to be as light as possible. Now, you might have noticed down here that we are actually drawing more power than the power plant can output. So in order to compensate for that, we have to shut off a few modules when we're flying. You can either do this through power priorities, but you really don't have to. I prefer to manage my power manually rather than doing through power priorities. So the way it works is you take the Xeno scanners, the frameshift wake scanner, the pulse laser, and the mining laser, as well as the AFMU, and you put those offline. These are all the modules that you only need sometimes. I kept the cargo hatch open. I kept the research limit control. You could shut that off as well if you don't want to. Then you could shut the cargo hatch off as well if you want to save even more fuel. But I decided to keep that open just in case we come across anything. But same with the vehicle hangar. I think it's annoying having to turn that on and off, so there's enough power for that as well. But you could, if you really wanted to save, you could turn off the planetary hangar, the cargo, and the research limpet. Then maybe you could change the engineering of the power plant to save a little bit on the overheating. But the idea is that when you need any of these modules, you can see right now we're using 99% of our power. You go up, you take your Guardian frameshift booster, since you're not going to be jumping while you're doing this anyway. You go in, you turn that thing off, and now you have plenty of power to turn on whatever modules you need. So if I needed to go and repair my frameshift drive, go in, activate the AFMU like so. So just quickly taking out outside my fleet carrier, and as you can see, this thing really moves. We begin to hit the boost button. This thing will really move, and it is such a fun ship to fly. And I mean, I'm considering just beginning to use this as my daily get around the bubble kind of ship, because it really has everything you need and a little bit extra, and it's so fun to fly. Because of its small size, it also makes it very easy to land in most locations. And pairing this up with a fleet carrier is just a wonderful match. It is such an enjoyable ship to fly, and it just makes exploration a little bit more fun. It doesn't have to be really stripped down to the bone kind of ships. Sometimes just treat yourself, get a little fast fun ship, and go out and have some fun while you're out there enjoying the beautiful sights that Elite has to offer. I just want to leave you with one little test. I want to show you what happens if you go full speed, straight nose first into a solid object. So we're just going to go all pips to engines. I'm going to try to see if I can manage to get my my pips over to systems before the impact. But there we go. Actually, we're heading up at way above 770. Pips over. There you go. So you can see there, even a impact at over, I think we're past 750 during the time of impact. If you put 4 pips over to your systems just before impact, the shields can take the hit. So that's why we have those shields on there, to protect you, to not just have you make a wreck out of yourself. But there we have it. That is the one-way trip. I hope you enjoyed this little build guide. I hope you'll enjoy the ship. I would love to hear what you think about it in the comment section. What would you change? What are the modules do you think is a waste of space? What modules would you swap out? And also let me know if you plan to build this yourself. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give a like, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you guys in space.